Most video games are of the action genre, with shooting and hack and slash combat, but there comes a time when I want to play something a bit more relaxing. Well, I would like to introduce you to one of my favorite games growing up, the cult classic Chibi-Robo. I don't really remember where I first heard about this game, but I remember looking at videos and I remember getting hooked onto the game's charm. How much charm? Well, just take a look at the title screen.
It's just so cheesy and bouncy that you just can't help but smile.
That is just scratching the surface.
So the game begins in the Sanderson household, where it is little Jenny's birthday. She thinks she's a frog.
Isn't it fun to pretend? Squeak, 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 squeak.
Anyway, her unemployed father gives her the very expensive gift of Chibi-Robo.
And here he comes now in his over-the-top flashy entrance. The object of the game is to go around the house and earn happy points. How exactly do you earn happy points? Well, by picking up trash and throwing it away, as well as cleaning the floors with a toothbrush.
Isn't this fun?
But just doing chores around the house doesn't sound like a fun game.
Unless, that's what you're into.
Luckily, this is more than just a cleaning house simulator. You will also be solving personal problems, but not just the problems of the mother, the father, or even Jenny. But this game goes full-on Toy Story, with the toys coming to life when no one's around. You'll be helping out a superhero, a shy squeaky toy, a washed-up pirate, an angry sergeant, a sad mummy, a psychic, who may or may not be a con artist, a princess, a Lego T-Rex with a southern accent, a disco dancing flower, and of course, the teddy bear.
Beautiful.
Chibi-Robo has a complete list of tools to help him. Along with the aforementioned toothbrush, he has a spoon that he can use to dig holes, a water squirter, a cup that he can use for protection, a clue-finding radar dish, a chibi-copter that allows you to hover over small gaps as well as slowly descend high places, a huge array of costumes, and of course, the arm cannon.
I'm helping!
Now I bet you're wondering why you need a destructive weapon in a game about helping around the house. While I did say that combat was not the main focus, I did not mean that there wasn't any. Turns out that Chibi-Robo has enemies called the Spy Dolls. They randomly appear around the house, and when they do, they come with a rockin' soundtrack. They move around trying to latch onto you, and when they do, they drain your power. Oh yeah, I probably should have mentioned this earlier, but you don't really have a health meter per se. Instead, you have a power meter. If you do anything in the game, walk, climb, shoot, take damage, hover, scrub, or even stand still, you lose power. When you run low on power, you start to flash red. The only way to restore power is to plug into an outlet. Makes sense because he's a robot and he needs to be charged. It's a pretty clever concept, even if it can result in a bit of backtracking. If you run out of power, this happens. Okay, there is no game over screen. You're just sent back to home base. However, you do lose a bit of your currency. The currency in this game is called moolah. Moolah can be obtained by finding it around the house as well as completing certain tasks. You need to get moolah in order to purchase upgrades, like the charge shot, vehicles used in minigames, seeds for planting, and of course a watch, which you use to extend your time. I would recommend getting the 15-minute one since it runs the longest. So by now I bet you're wondering what the story is. Well, throughout the game, you hear characters referencing something called Giga-Robo. Who is this Giga-Robo, you might ask? That is Giga-Robo.
Giga-Robo was the predecessor to Chibi-Robo. He became so popular back in the day, but he was discontinued and abandoned due to the high energy cost. Chibi-Robo believes that he can make everyone happy again if he reactivates Giga-Robo for one last run. Could that be the main reason? Or perhaps Giga-Robo has a greater purpose that he needs to fulfill?
Okay, for anybody who wants to try out the game, I won't be spoiling anything more. But I will tell you that this game is far from perfect.
I feel like the biggest problem with the game is the camera. There were so many times where I got turned around or fell off ledges because of the camera. And while Chibi-Robo's silhouette does appear while he's behind something, it doesn't really help when you can't see the ledge he's standing on.
Another issue I had with this game is that I found some of the tasks to be confusing. For example, there was a mission where I had to find something called the Drake Redcrest Wax. I remember when I first played this and I thought, what exactly does it mean by Drake Redcrest Wax? Was it some sort of wax statue of him? Was it a type of wax that he leaves behind? Was it a tube of wax with his face on it? I was very confused back then. After doing searching for what felt like hours, I finally found out that this was the Drake Redcrest Wax that he was talking about. I don't know if wax is some sort of disco term for soundtrack, but was it so hard to call it something like Drake Redcrest Tunes, or Drake Redcrest CD, or Drake Redcrest Soundtrack, or Drake Redcrest Music, or anything like that? I mean, seriously! Also, this house has no bathroom.
I'll just, let that sink in for a moment.
Okay, so maybe toilet humor might not work in a family-friendly game about cleaning the house. I'm pretty sure everyone knows that every house has a bathroom. This kind of feels like censorship over realism, though I can only speculate on how gross the missions of the bathroom could be. But I can also think about how adorable it could be seeing Chibi-Robo talking with Rubber Duck. Quack 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 quack.
In the end, despite the problems with the camera and the clunky shooting mechanic, Chibi-Robo is still a great game that holds up to this day. It's a shame we don't really see much of Chibi-Robo anymore. They did release a handheld spin-off game called Chibi-Robo's Park Patrol, as well as a handheld sequel to the console game that was only released in Japan. They also released a photography game, which no one really asked for, and more recently they released a side-scrolling action game called Chibi-Robo Ziplash, but there really hasn't been any console games. Most people believe Chibi-Robo is dead, but I refuse to give up hope. Maybe someday they'll release a new Chibi-Robo game for the console, or at the very least make him a fighter in the new Smash Bros. Game. Well, only time will tell. I'm the Redshirt Reviewer, and thanks for watching.